Hello, my name is Megan. Thank you so much for joining me today. Now, my last video, I discussed how to find a scholarly article. I thought this time I should teach you all how to read a scientific article properly. You could spend days trying to read an article from start to finish seamlessly. And I guarantee you that's not the most efficient or even best way to learn because you'll probably forget it. So I'm so excited to share these tips and tricks with you. Hopefully you'll be able to read articles more efficiently and of course get a lot more out of them. All right, so last time I showed you all how to access Springer Link here, which is where I found this article. You can see here that I just searched the title. So if we download the PDF, I think it's a lot easier to read it this way. You'll see the difference. This is just, a block of text, but sometimes it looks a lot nicer when it's in the PDF article version. All of the figures will be in their place, and sometimes it won't necessarily be that way when you just have the article on the search engine. The first thing, of course, that you want to do is read the abstract. Read it well. That is your first tip to really understanding the paper. When it comes to any scientific research article, there are no spoilers, so you don't have to worry about, oh no, I'm gonna find out what actually happened. That's kind of what you want. You kind of want to know what the conclusion was, and most abstracts include the overall conclusion of the entire study. So read the abstract thoroughly. It'll give you an introduction to the study itself, likely some of the methods that were used, perhaps some of the results, and then of course the conclusion. So you can see here, this first sentence is what the study is about. And don't worry if you don't know anything about geophysics, it's no issue. You'll be able to understand the process of reading a scientific article, regardless of if you understand this paper or are even interested in this paper. So the first line tells you what the point of this, the purpose of this paper. And then the second one here, which this is not for every single paper, they're all, the abstracts aren't exactly the same, but they usually follow a general guideline. It tells you what exactly they did. And then of course the end, there it is, it says what the overall results told us, and usually not quantitative, but like a qualitative, something that is a final word from the study. And then again, there are no spoilers in a research article. We want to just skip down, just skip all the way down, go to the conclusion of your article. Because if you're looking at all of this, you're probably thinking, what is happening? And the first time I read it, I felt the same way. What you want to do is read this conclusion. Again, it will do a very similar thing that the abstract does. It will give you an overview of the paper, of the study, and will really highlight the most important parts. And so you'll get familiar with what's important as you are reading. So you don't just have to read it word for word and hoping to get the full story out of it that way. No, you're going to be skimming it at first, really, to look for all of the points that make this conclusion really make sense. So read through the conclusion. That's the next thing that you really want to understand. And now you really understand the bulk of this paper with, just a few minutes of thorough reading. It will make reading it a lot easier, at least. Now that you've read the conclusion, you will come back, perhaps start again with your introduction, and just sort of skim it over. The article is going to make a lot more sense now that you have a better understanding of the point, the purpose of the study, and what was being done during the study. So now you can get an introduction on this particular site. In this example, we're looking at a particular location where a study was done. You can get all that information, very interesting and useful. You'll get a better sense of why this study is done also when you have a better understanding of the background. And of course, the introduction here has geological background. Again, if you are reading something related to biology or chemistry, it will probably be different, but the order of components in your article will be similar. The next step I would definitely do is review your figures. Once you've read all of the captions in the figures, you'll have a much better understanding of the actual experiments and results from them. So again, don't worry about all of the text in between, just read these captions. You will be much more prepared to actually skim through this, which is what you will probably do next. Then, of course, get that better understanding of how the experiment was performed. And lastly, of course, take a look at your references. If there's anything that you have specific questions about, see if any of these articles perhaps will discuss that, give you a better understanding of something. If there's a particular experimental procedure that you're not familiar with, likely it will be cited related to another reference, unless it's the first time it's being done. In your references, you can see, perhaps learn a lot more about that particular procedure or whatever else you are curious about. And of course, as I mentioned in my video on finding a research article, this is a great way to find related research articles if you need to reference more than one in your paper or project, whatever it is you're doing. So again, this is how I highly recommend you read your research papers, is start with the abstract and then jump to conclusions. Make sure that you fully understand both the abstract and the conclusions. Really read them through. Look up any definitions that you are confused about. If you understand the abstract and the conclusions, it will be so much easier to read the rest of the paper. So then jump to your introduction, read that, then of course go through all of the figures. So you'll want to go through every single figure, read all of the captions below them. Then you will be pretty much set. You'll have a really good understanding of how this study was performed. Really reading through the rest of it will be a breeze. You won't be spending forever trying to read word for word throughout the paper and get so confused, and it'll take you forever and you'll have to read it again because your brain checked out and you're lost. And I'm telling you, it happens to me all the time if I don't follow this method. It will cut down the time on how long it takes you to digest these articles, and it will make your understanding a lot richer. Thank you again so much for watching my video. If you have any questions, or if you found an interesting scholarly article that you would like to share, please feel free to comment below. I look forward to seeing you all next time with some more information on either science or the resources that are available to you.